When you've played the Pokemon games for the past 20 years like I have, you learn a lot of obscure facts, crazy glitches, and other weird quirks. For example, pressing the A button on the SS Titles windows in Pokemon Emerald lets you see the ship travel through routes 132 to 134. A small, relatively unimportant secret, but a really cool one that I bet a lot of players didn't discover on their own. I've got 10 more facts in this video for y'all, so let's get to them. In Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, when you get to Royal Avenue just after Lana's trial, you can interact with this well in the southeast corner of the avenue. While it might seem like there's nothing to it, if you return with a protein in your bag, your character will clumsily drop said protein into the well, where it just so happens to hit an old man who was inside. He asks if the protein is yours, and if you answer truthfully, you get it back plus an iron. Meanwhile, if you lie and say the protein wasn't yours, the old man will drink it and then get perhaps the most absurd burst of energy I've ever seen. Afterwards, he admits he was just messing with you and returns your protein. This whole scene is likely a reference to the Honest Woodcutter, one of Aesop's fables, basically promoting honesty even if it's not beneficial for you to do so. Going back to the Hoenn region, in Rustboro City, there's a trainer school near the Pokemon Center. You can't actually attend classes there, but you can talk to the NPCs inside and even nab a Quick Claw. Well, if you stick Pokemon in slots 4, 5, and 6 in the 8th box of your PC and head back inside, you'll notice that the windows in the back suddenly have what appear to be glitchy looking curtains. This is because the data for these tiles is stored in the same part of the game as those Pokemon we placed in slots 4 through 6 in box 8, which results in the window tiles getting corrupted. Now, if you're looking for a school with better curtains and classes that you can actually attend, let me introduce you to this video's sponsor, Southern New Hampshire University. SNHU is an accredited, non-profit university and has one of the largest offerings of online degrees in the country, including one for game development. You can learn skills like 3D modeling, programming languages like C++, C#, and Java, and so much more. In addition, SNHU has one of the lowest online tuition rates in the country, and they'll be there to help you with your job search even when you graduate. They also offer tons of other programs such as computer science, cybersecurity, finance, and plenty more. No matter where your passion lies, Southern New Hampshire University has an online degree for you. To request free information and check out what other online degrees SNHU offers, head on over to snhu.edu/Yuki, which is also linked in the description below the video, and take the first step towards a new career today. Moving on, in the Japanese versions of Black 2 and White 2, there's a trainer on Route 7 that you can battle while standing in mid-air. If you get on this rail and jump off at just the right time, the trainer on the ground will notice you while you're in the air, and you'll fight. After the battle is done, you'll still be in midair, and you can walk back on the rail you jumped off of prior to fighting the trainer. This can't happen in the English version due to the range in which this youngster can walk being reduced. Here's a fact that eluded the Pokemon fanbase for over a decade. In Heart Gold and Soul Silver, if you go into Cian Wood's Pokemon Center and talk to this dude, he normally doesn't have anything terribly special to say. However, if you talk to him with only one Pokemon in your party and no Pokemon in your PC, he'll all of a sudden start saying it must be hard having only one Pokemon, and gives you a level 15 Tentacool for free. This is repeatable too. You can release the Tentacool and go talk to him for another one. And yes, it can be shiny, probably one of the more unique shiny hunts in the series. Speaking of shiny hunting, in Pokemon Battle Revolution, once you beat the main game, you can unlock costumes for your player that resemble certain Pokemon. What's unexpected, however, is that these costumes have a chance of being shiny, just like a Pokemon. That's right, you can shiny hunt clothes in Pokemon Battle Revolution. Apparently the odds of this happening are the same as the base odds of finding a shiny Pokemon in Gen 4, or 1 in 8,192. Also, if you've already gotten the outfit you're trying to shiny hunt in Battle Revolution, you can't get its shiny version, meaning it's very possible to permanently miss these. In Pokemon Crystal, you can participate in the bug catching contest in the National Park on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, where you can catch one of several bug-type Pokemon. Well, in the code for Pokemon Crystal, there is a negative 1% chance to encounter a Venomoth during the bug catching contest. Of course, this means you can't actually find one during the contest, but it's still in the code for the game. Pokemon Ruby probably has one of the weirder examples of version-exclusive content. Most of the time, those first two versions of Pokemon games just have different species available in either game, along with maybe an exclusive area or two. In Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, you can find Wild Wailord on Route 129, but in Ruby specifically, it can be found 10 levels higher than in Sapphire. Third versions typically feature higher levels across the board, but it's extremely unusual for something like this to happen in the first two versions. I think about the only other time that happened in the first two games is with the levels of Ho-Oh and Lugia in Gold and Silver, and then again in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. This is a pretty interesting one. The Everstone is a held item that prevents the Pokemon holding it from evolving. This includes trait evolutions, as I'm sure many of us realized firsthand when we tried to get a Gengar from everyone's favorite NPC. There's one exception to this, however. Starting in Generation 3, the Everstone hasn't prevented Kadabra from evolving into Alakazam. In the Generation 3 games, this was due to a glitch causing Pokemon who evolved via trading to consume their held item when evolving, even if they don't need to be holding one to evolve. In the Generation 4 games, that glitch was fixed, but a deliberate exception was made in the game's code to prevent the Everstone from working on Kadabra, an exception that exists to this day. People theorize that this exception was a result of the Uri Geller lawsuit from 2000, claiming that Kadabra was based on him, which he later apologized for doing in 2020, and lifted the ban on the production of Kadabra cards that was a result of his lawsuit. Several Pokemon games have an option to make the L button function the same as the A button, an option known as L equals A. All of the games in Generations 3, 4, 6, and 7 have this option, but in Emerald only, if you have L equals A enabled, something interesting happens in battles. If you hold down any direction on the D-pad for a couple of seconds when you go to select a move in battle, the game will actually take you back to the screen where you can select if you want to fight, use an item, switch Pokemon, or flee. Starting in the Generation 4 games, there's a dedicated cancel or go back button on the bottom screen, where you select your moves, thus removing the need for something like what Emerald does. However, as I mentioned, this isn't in Ruby, Sapphire, Fire Red, or Leaf Green, just Emerald. I just find it really interesting that this got introduced in Emerald, and then the DS completely removed the need for this feature, so it got removed. Finally, back in 2007, South Korea got a PC version of the first Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games, titled Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Gold Rescue Team. Although it was only a demo, the only other Pokemon titles to be released on PC that weren't Flash games were either based on the Pokemon TCG or edutainment based. In fact, I have a whole video detailing these games that you can check out. Before we go, I know nobody likes this part, but if you enjoyed the video, please take a moment to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I typically don't ask for subscribers anymore, but I want 2025 to be a huge year for the channel, and I can't do that without your help. Either way, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video and maybe even learned something new. A big thank you to Mithril Monarch, PK Smokey, Sedzi, and Duna Nix, along with the rest of my patrons scrolling by for going the extra mile and financially supporting the channel. See you next time, everyone.